In today's video, LYNEY, a famed Fontanian magician who possesses great stage presence, great eyes, and a great assistant, Lynette, who's also her twin sister. LYNEY is a 5-star pyro character, bow user, main DPS in mono-pyro teams. In this video you'll find tips, talents, explanations, artifact sets, weapons, and more, so keep watching if you want to have the best LYNEY in Genshin. But before getting started, if you have crazy builds or if you're struggling in building a character, you can join my Discord server where you can flex and ask for tips to improve your character's build. You can also ask to be included in future videos and be part of other communities to make friends and have fun in other games when you're not playing Genshin. You're more than welcome to join, and with that out of the way, here's his character investment, and let's jump right into his active talents. With the normal attack, he performs up to 4 consecutive shots with a bow, but let's just not waste time in talking of this, and let's go straight to the main key of his kit, the charge attack. When he performs the charge attack, flames will run across the arrowhead before being fired. This can have 2 effects. The first will simply deal a pyro damage distance, and the second, other than dealing pyro damage, will also evoke a green-marking hat which can taunt nearby opponents and attract their attacks once every 5 seconds, which is quite good considering that LYNEY has to charge his hits, so having opponents distracted comes really handy for him. Then the green-marking hat inherits a percentage of LYNEY's max HP, making decrease his HP, and that's a good thing for one artifact set that we'll see later. And last, the hat will explode, dealing AoE pyro damage once its duration expires, or when LYNEY will hit the opponents with another charge level 2 arrow. Also, when LYNEY fires the prop arrow, and when his HP is above 60%, it will consume a portion of his HP to obtain 1 prop surplus stack, reaching 5 stack max. Let's move on to the skill, which is the ability LYNEY uses to clear all the prop surplus stacks he had, and based on the stacks he cleared, he has his skill damage increased. This will also regenerate LYNEY's HP based on his max HP. So LYNEY loses HP with the charge attack and regenerates them with the elemental skill. Lastly, the burst that makes LYNEY move faster and deals 1 instance of pyro damage to each opponent, and at the end it will dismiss the green-marking cat and ignite fireworks that deal AoE pyro damage, and summon 1 green-marking head that will grant himself 1 prop surplus stack. Its cost is 60, and I think it's great and it can work with any team you choose for LYNEY. So the greatest rotation for LYNEY is, after all the supports, LYNEY joins the field with his burst, which will grant him 1 stack of prop surplus and will also deal AoE pyro damage. Then you go with his 4 charge attacks, and last is elemental skill to deal AoE pyro damage, to clear its 5 stacks of prop surplus and regenerate HP. The level priority is given to the normal attack, burst, and last elemental skill. I recommend you to level all his talents since he uses all of them in the rotations. Let's go have a look at his passive talents now. So the first one states that when LYNEY consumes HP firing off a prop arrow, the green-marking hat summoned by that will, upon hitting an opponent, restore 3 energy to LYNEY and increases damage by 80%, which I think is really good. Also, as I said before, his burst cost is 60, but the energy regeneration the green-marking hat grants to LYNEY is really good and useful since you don't need to worry of the support's energy regeneration, and we also have a great bonus in damage, so this talent is really strong for him. Then with the second one, LYNEY will receive buffs if the damage is dealt to an opponent affected by pyro. The first one increases the damage dealt by 60%, and the second one will cause the damage dealt to increase by an additional 20% for every pyro characters other than LYNEY in the team. That's great since the pyro resonance also gives a buff in attack, and LYNEY can have a lot of attack that is also going to be increased by his passive talent. Also, it states that LYNEY can have up to 100% increased damage, so considering he has a 60% as the base of the buff and a pyro character other than LYNEY would grant him a 20% bonus, the cap, so the maximum number of pyro characters in the team with LYNEY is 3, LYNEY included. So you have 3 pyro characters, and the last spot is free for a character of another elemental type. With the last one, LYNEY shows the nearby resources in Fontaine, and that's simply useful in farming and exploring. So let's move on to the artifacts options we can have on LYNEY. For 2-piece, you can use 2-piece attack, Gladiator, Simenawa, and all others. 2-piece pyro damage bonus, Crimson Witch of Flames. 2-piece normal and charge attack damage increase, Marechaussee Hunter. For 4-piece, you can use Marechaussee Hunter that gives a 15% bonus to normal and charge attack damage, so perfect for him. And when HP increases or decreases, the character crit rate will be increased by 12% for 5 seconds and stacks up to 3. So you have 36 of crit rate just from the 4-piece. Considering he ascends with crit rate, this is a perfect starting to build correctly crit damage and crit rate. So that's why this is the set everyone should have on their LYNEY. But we have other alternatives, of course. Second option is Crimson Witch of Flames, which gives him a lot of pyro damage bonus with the 2-piece and the 4-piece, which further increases the percentage of pyro damage bonus and also increases all pyro related elemental reaction damage. You need to use an elemental skill to take the most out of this 4-piece set. So if you have this set on him, the rotation will be elemental skill. At this point you will have the bonus, and then you go with elemental burst, charge attacks and skill again as for the standard rotation. Lastly, I just wanted to mark Lava Walker, but if you really have the perfect set, since the 2-piece is pretty useless and 35% pyro damage bonus is great, but not enough to farm an entire set even now that we have characters that can use the Scroll of the Hero of Cinder City, which gives elemental damage bonus. So use it only if you have really strong pieces. Anyway, the rank for his best 4-piece set is Lava Walker in 3rd place, Crimson in 2nd place, and Merchese in the 1st place. Main stats are attack on the sand, pyro damage bonus on the goblet, and crit damage on the circlet. And sub stats are crit damage, attack, crit rate, and the last one is free. The important thing is the crit damage and attack roll. Before we talk about his weapons options, I remind you to subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content, and make sure to activate the notifications to not miss out any future guides of your favorite characters. Here we are now with weapons options. The first is of course a signature weapon, the first grade magic, which gives attack and a good percentage of crit damage. The effect increases charge attack damage by 16% and gives a bonus in attack for every member of the same elemental type as the wielder, and movement speed for every member with a different element from the wielder. So of course really good for LYNEY. Then we have Aqua Simulacra, that except for HP bonus is a great weapon for him since it gives a lot of crit damage and increases damage by 20%, so charge attack damage, skill damage and burst damage, which is really good for him since he uses all his active talents, so it really takes the most out of this buff. Amos Bow, that gives a lot of attack with main and sub stats and increases charge attack damage by 12%, and damage dealt increases by a further 8%. This is actually if you really don't have anything else, but we'll have a look at 4-star options now. First option is Shion of the Blazing Sun, which gives 80% of crit rate and gives 60% of the attack as damage when opponents get hit, with a Sunfire Arrow that also applies the Earth Scissor effect that makes opponents take 28% more charge attack damage. So this is really good for him since it increases all the stats he needs for great performances. The only negative stats is crit rate since he has already enough of it if you have the 4-piece of Merchese Hunter. Second option is Blackleaf Warbow, which gives crit damage. The effect increases his attack but after defeating an opponent, so it couldn't activate if you're dealing with a single boss. Hamayui, which gives a lot of attack, but the effect increases charge attack damage and it further increases it if LYNEY has the burst ready, but it can happen since you start the rotation with his burst. The good thing is that, as you can see, this weapon is craftable, so you can increase this percentage up to 24%. Let's have a look at his constellations now. First one, LYNEY can have 2 Green Malkin hats at once and grant 1 extra stack of Perp Surplus, so this is useful for the rotation since we can have more particles and we're faster with the stacks of Perp Surplus, so great. The second one is really good since it makes LYNEY gain a stack of Crisp Focus when he's on the field, and every stack of the Crisp Focus will increase LYNEY's crit damage by 20% for 3 stacks, so 60%, and that's really good since he fixes his crit rate by his own. And with this constellation, you basically don't need to build the crit ratio since LYNEY will build it by its own. Third one increases the level of the normal attack, which in this case is perfect since, as I said before, that's the main kit of his kit. The fourth one is also really good, in which after hitting an opponent with the charge attack, the opponent will have pyro resistance decreased by 20%. You can imagine if you have buffer and the buffer in the team what the damage can be, but also this leads you to not strongly need Kazuha and allows you to use Furina, for example, which increases all performances, and LYNEY will debuff opponents without Kazuha's help, so really good. Then this constellation increases by 3 levels the burst, which is good. And last one is also pretty strong since when LYNEY fires a prop arrow, it will fire a pyrotechnic strike that will deal 80% of a pyrotechnic strike's damage that is considered charge attack damage. So this strike deals 80% of the damage the Green Malkin hat deals when it explodes, so it's really strong. For team comps, I can recommend you to always give 3 pyro characters and make the last character decide what kind of team you're playing. I don't know if I made myself clear, but let's have a look at his team's options and I'm sure they'll help me to be understood. First option is LYNEY, Dia, Bennett and Kazuha. This is the most classic option with 3 pyro and 1 anemo. In this specific case, we have Dia, which increases Liney's interruptions resistance, Bennett buffing in attack and healing, and Kazuha with buffs and a buff. Also, Kazuha can infuse its burst with Hydro or Cryo in order to trigger an elemental reaction that would increase the general damage. This makes the team more versatile, but Kazuha can whirl an element only if your enemy has a shield or something from which Kazuha can take the element. You can choose to use an element. I just wanted to clarify this. You can replace Kazuha with Lynette, which goes really well with Liney. She insists spawn a hat with her burst that taunts opponents, and combined with Liney's Green Malkin hat is a great combination for crowd control. Second option can be Liney, Dia, Bennett, and Furina. In this case, the only character changing is Kazuha. Furina applies Hydro and increases all party members' performances and makes Liney's HP decretion become more constant, in order to be sure to activate the 4-piece of Marechaussee even if Liney is not firing any shots, but also it helps you to reach the full bonus of this set quicker in order to already have 36% of crit rate when Liney joins the field. As you can see, I've always kept the 3 pyro characters in the options, which I think is really important for him since it activates the full buff of his passive talent, which makes him deal 100% more damage. As always, these were just examples. You can use Liney with all pyro characters just to activate his passive talent or the pyro resonance, and with Anemo, Hydro, or Cryo, even Electro if you like Overload. And that's all you needed to know about our magician Liney. I hope this video came useful to you. Don't forget to leave a comment on what you think of this incredible character. I remind you to subscribe to the channel and also to my TikTok and Instagram accounts, to join my Discord server if you want to participate to the next videos, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!